Alright, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, or good night, wherever you might be watching this video. I really don't know. But anyway, this is a video. One of my subscribers left a comment about wanting me to make a list of all my modifications to my Harbor Freight blast cabinet. This is a couple years old. I bought it brand new. I had it on sale. I think I got it $187 or something like that. But it's really super cheap. But it's a good cabinet. You know, once you do the modification, it becomes an even better cabinet. I mean, I didn't use it. I did all these modifications prior, or the majority of them, prior to even putting media in the unit itself. If you look at my series, I think I got a 5-part series of doing this blast cabinet, and yeah, I did it all before I even put media in it, because it's just cleaner. Everything's clean, easier to work with. So anyway, Sherry, one of my subscribers, asked me to make her a list. I'm not much on making lists. Easier to make a video sometimes, but anyway, this is how I chose to go for it. So Sherry, this is for you. And anyway, I'm going to show all the modifications as quickly as I can. I don't want to make this a half-hour video or anything. But that's the cabinet itself. It's all hooked up. That's basically my air filtration. And I got it all pulled out, so it was easy to handle and show what it does. That's the cabinet itself. My air supply, which I pulled down. Hook up right there into the side. I got a adjustment on there, valve with a pressure gauge, because you want to be able to control the amount of PSI you run through your gun to blast your parts with. I think last speed is about 60. The aluminum oxide, which is in there now, it's the black dark, really good for hard metals and, you know, things that are harder. You can't use it on aluminum because it'll actually pit the aluminum and stuff. I've, did some experimenting and found that out, and which I figured it's not made for soft material like aluminum. But anyway, that runs at 80 psi, I believe. So you want to be able to adjust your air pressure going into the cabinet. So air pressure goes into the gun, sucks up the sand, the media rather, and blows it on the part, and then comes out here, all the dust and byproducts goes into that filtration system there, and then what's left goes into the vacuum. And I've not opened this vacuum. I've been blasting for a while. I did, one time, and I got a video of that on air filtration video, where it worked well. It worked good. So anyway, let me get into the modifications here before I get babbling on like an old man like me usually does. But anyway, this is what came stock with the cabinet. This is the mat holds your parts. I cut it down, okay, and I picked it up, this hint up off of somebody else who did it on another Harbor Freight. I'm not going to take credit for it, so I'm using their idea. But what I did, I just cut the mat. These pieces, these trim pieces, come off. They got a little tack weld here. You just cut that or chisel it off or whatever, and take these off. Then you get a wire wheel or and cut it down. I cut it to 26 inches, maybe 25 7/8 on the length, and on the width I did 16 3/4, thereabouts. You don't have to be precise, but and then you just put these trim pieces back on. I just punched them with a punch, sort of so the piece would stay together. I didn't want to bother tack welding it and stuff. So anyway, that's the mat. Now the rack that comes with the Harbor Freight, nothing against Harbor Freight, but Harbor Freight is Harbor Freight. People like me and whomever else, that's where we have to buy things. We can't all afford $1,000 units, the best of everything, so we got to go with what we got to go with. Anyway, that's the rack. The rack for actually holding and supporting the parts that you're blasting. This is it. This isn't what came with the cabinet. I made it myself out of just some angle iron I had laying around. I try to pick up angle iron wherever I see it, you know, because you make a lot of things out of it. Case in point, this rack, which it makes it a lot heavier duty. The one that comes with the cabinet is pretty flimsy. You're not putting very many heavier parts on it without this, you know, bending it and warping it, what have you. So I made this one. And like I said, the angle iron, you know, bed frames, that's all this is. Material from a bed frame. And it's pretty thick because, it, you know, they don't know, you know, you got 500-600 pounds or more on a bed. So, you know, it's plenty thick material. Anyway, case in point, see, I made my engine stand. I made that out of bed frame material. So a lot of uses for it. You know, a lot of people, they're throwing it away for free, and you can grab it and cut it up and use it, reuse it. Anyway, let me measure this out, and I'll tell you what I did this at. All right, we got, this is 21.5 by 16 and 1/4. Okay, that's the overall, but all you got to do is cut the angle. You cut this one 21.5, then you cut these inner pieces, which were smaller angle, and they're about 13 and 1/4 there. Okay, and then I just tack welded them. I don't have the prettiest welds, self-taught on the welding, but as long as I get good penetration, that's all that's important. Not like I'm gonna, oh, let me put this down first. It's not like my welds are going to be judged in a welding competition. Anyway, this is another modification I did. This is actually, there's a baffle back here in the rear part of the cabinet. It controls air coming into the cabinet, which, you know, affects your flow throughout your cabinet. Anyway, it just had this black, this was a solid black cover that was over that. So what I did was I took that cap, I cut these slots in it. This part came off an old barbecuer that I wasn't using anymore. And what I do, say I wanted to control, rather than just have a big opening or close it, I wanted to control the airflow. So you can see there how that works. Open it up to create more airflow, close it to make it right tight in there. Anyway, and that goes on the back part here. Okay, that goes on in the back. I'll show you on the inside. Yeah. Once I get this hooked up here. Alright. Oh. Come on. There we go. Alright. I had to hook my lid up, which, again, when the cabinet comes, you got this little door on the side. Open that up and put your parts in. You could do it that way, sure, it's fine, but I didn't want to be limited on the size of parts I could get in here that would fit through that opening. And it's just easier when you got, especially if you got a heavier part that you want to put in there. It's easier to put it in through the top than wiggle it in through the side and drop it on your rack and stuff. Anyway, let me turn the light on. And this is not the light that came with it, that's another modification, but let me finish with the rack system first. That goes down in there, as you can see, just lays in the cabinet like that. And then your mat goes in there over top of it. And that's where your parts sit on. So by cutting this down, in the length and the width. It makes it sit, believe it or not, about 5 inches deeper into the cabinet. So that gives you more height. More height equals bigger part, you know. So that was important to me. I wanted to get it. I didn't want to be able to be limited on what I could blast because of what I could get in this thing. So it is kind of small. I wish it was longer, but it's not. So this is what I got. Anyway, and there's the baffle. That's on the unit when you buy it. And there's a hole on the other side of that. And that's where I put the thing I made with the barbecue vent. So that controls the airflow into the cabinet. Alright. So the next modification I did is the light over here. Okay. And all this is a regular indoor, outdoor, not waterproofed or anything. It's just a regular house receptacle box. So that's the box. It comes with the cover. You can get them in different configurations. I got the switch and the receptacle, the regular house ones, some electrical wire. I put a plug on the other end of this power supply. I just plug it into the power. Comes up to the switch, and this controls the power. That anything that's plugged into here, okay, and also the light. So you just take the box, lay it up against where you want to put the light, be it you want to put it on the side here, put it on the back, wherever you want to put it. It works the same. You just put the box up against there. It's got some holes, the back of the box. And all you got to do is trace them out with a Sharpie. Drill the holes and put it all together. Hey, you can see, you can figure it out. But it works well. This is a regular floodlight. In one of my earlier videos, I tell you the wattage and all the specs on different things. This, I'm just an overview. Okay, so just a regular outdoor floodlight, the socket, the box with the cover, switch, plug, wire it up, which you can get that off the internet as well. I knew how to wire a switch box up for what I needed, but yeah, and what that does, I got everything plugged into it, so when I come in here and I'm ready to blast, I got my lid down. All I can do is flip that switch, turns on my light, turns on my air filtration, and I'm ready to go. So that's that one. Okay, making the top. Now I think, like I said, I have a 5-part series of this whole blast cap and modification series. And what I did in number 3, I believe, is where I have this all laid out and go over it in a little bit more detail. But anyway, I actually used a rack that came with this, and after I cut it up, I used it as an outer inside edge to this lid, and used the smaller cross pieces that I cut out and stuck them on the inside to sort of reinforce it, because I wanted support all around the outer edge of this. Okay, and all I did was put that on there, drilled some holes for bolts on the outer edge, holds it all nice and tight, put plenty of caulking and silicone, weather stripping on the back here. That's just a piece of pressure treated, like a trim piece that you would use on your outside deck. And I wanted to use pressure treated because I wanted a pretty hard piece of wood and something that wasn't going to rot and decay. And put the hinges, regular hinges, bolted it to the back, which supported it fine. I didn't put any extra supporting back there. Yeah, I didn't have any extra supporting back there. Anyway, bolted it all together, weather stripped it, caulked it, and I love it. I love it. I couldn't imagine using this cabinet without this hinged top. And then I just put that little hook there I had laying around somewhere, some chain I had laying around. That's why I don't throw a lot of stuff away. Repurpose it. Anyway, so let me turn this on, the light. As you can see, that comes on. Normally, it would turn the vacuum on as well, but I bought this control box, and bought this at Harbor Freight. As you can tell, I go to Harbor Freight quite a bit. That's what us poor folk do. Anyway, and they got some good products, you know. Never had a problem with this. The blast cabinets turned out to be fine. I only paid $189 for it, $200, but it's worth that, definitely, you know. This little thing, anyway, is called a motor sensor control, speed control, motor speed control. And you can hook any motor up to this. It's got a plug it into this, and by that knob there you control whether it's how fast the motor rotates, and then that little switch above it controls turning the external unit on, which in this case is my vacuum, which controls my filtration. Alright, so now I'll show that later on. But that was like 20 bucks at Harbor Freight, and pretty easy. You plug this in, plug it in over there, you're up and running, and I'll show that in operation a little bit later. Anyway, so that's the light, and that's the lid and the rack. Then the next thing I did, I wanted a baffle here for the air going out of the unit. I just didn't want it to suck out of a hole in the side of the cabinet. I wanted to have some restriction so I wasn't losing all my media into the filtration system. You know, this stuff is expensive. You know, by the time I get it here, you know, I order it on the internet, and it's almost $100 a 50-pound bag of different medias. So you want it to last as long as you want. You can get it to last. But anyway, I just had some thin metal sheet, just regular steel sheet, but it was pretty thin, and cut it, measured it, cut it, bent it, and drilled holes in it, got some bolts, and bolted it over the hole that's already there in the cabinet. And it's got an opening down here, so this has the air coming in. This has the air coming in through the top that I control with the vent I showed you earlier, and it gets sucked out on the bottom here. So I'm getting like a good circulation in the cabinet. Anyway, and then I can control the flow by this switch box here. Okay, and I'll show you that here now. There's a switch, turn that off, and all I gotta do is flip that. There you go. Now with the lid down, I'm ready for blast. But here's how this works. You can see. Anyway, alright, that's how that all works. Only other thing, let me close this lid. Other thing I did, I went ahead and took these bolts out of here. They just have regular bolts holding this in. I wanted to replace them with wing nuts. So when I go to replace this glass, all I got to do is undo these wing nuts all the way around. Harbor Freight, when you get the cabinet, it's just got regular nuts and bolts. And this is just a little bit quicker for when I want to replace the glass. I just undo all those wing nuts, pull off the trim, and pull out the glass and replace it. So that's another modification that I did. Other than that, the other modification I want to do, I want to actually run my air, or sucking the sand down there to where you dump out the media out of the cabinet. I want to hook my hose in there and come up through the side of the cabinet just to get that hose out of the way on the inside. Anyway, babbling on there a little bit, and I apologize. Anyway, okay, here's a filtration system. Now, I didn't come up with this, I've seen it on other YouTuber sites, and this is what I decided to go with. And what this is, it's a unit called the Dust Deputy. Okay, this was $50. I got it at True Value, Ace Hardware, one of them. I had to order it online. It came in. They called me. I went and got it, brought it home, and that's just a thick piece of press board on the top of that lid, and that was like an old chlorine bucket. It's got a locking lid, one of those types that you twist on, and to get it off, you got to actually push on a little button there to get it off. So I wanted it nice and tight. It's pretty airtight because it had chlorine in it before. Anyway, so all I did was cut that into a circle, the piece of press board, put it in the top, cut an opening in the top of the lid, big enough for the bottom of the Dust Deputy. Like I said, that was about $50 for that, but it's worth it. But anyway, hose comes out of the cabinet. I bought some extra vacuum cleaner hose. Got that at the hardware store as well. And then you just go out of your cabinet into the top of the Dust Deputy, and then it comes out the side of the Dust Deputy and into the vacuum. Okay, and that sucks all the debris and whatnot, dust out of your cabinet, which you gotta have. You gotta be able to see the part. Now, I've been running on this for months and months. All right, and this is the first time I've opened it since then. I did one time when I first did it, but just to see it, and it worked good then, but that was just a little bit. But anyway, after months and months, and I already unscrewed this prior, that's why it's just lifting off. Months and months, I don't know if you can see in there. The light's coming in, probably. Can't see it. But that's what I got in there. And the vacuum, which I put a new filter on this there you go. You can see nothing. And that's a brand new filter, which I'm sure if I blew it off, it'd be perfectly clean. There's like nothing in there. So, well worth the $50. Well worth the $50. Anyway, and then I made this. Again, another YouTuber had this. They came up with the idea, not me. So I incorporated it. Just took the lid on a regular bucket, cut one bucket down, top off of it, took the lid, cut the center out, took some regular house screening, put it over it, hooked the two together, got another bucket, and in this case that's where I keep my glass bead. That's my glass bead, 70 to 100 mesh. And I just take that lid, I put it into the cabinet. When I go to put my media in, I just scoop it out, pour it through that, and that keeps all the sticks or anything, the chunks, anything like that out. Keeps you from getting your gun clogged up. So pretty simple, definitely inexpensive. Anybody can do it. And it's a good idea, why not? So, and I believe that is it as far as modifications. Like I said, I am going to do a couple more. Okay, I'm just adding this on. It's just going to be right quick. I got cut off on my last video. That's the problem with holding a tablet, trying to think about what you're going to say and video what you want to see. Sometimes your finger hits the wrong thing and cuts off the video. But anyway, that's about it on the Harbor Freight video cabinet. Sherry, I hope this answers your questions. If not, post another comment, and I'll try to reply. Other modification we're going to do, I'm going to put a light in the front part of this, or up in the other corner, one or the other, I'm not sure yet. But I want to put another light. And I got light, plenty of light on the left side. I want to get light on the right side of the cabinet. Needs a little bit more light on the right side of the cabinet. And then I'm going to have where I tap into the bottom of the hopper where you get the media out when you dump it out when you're changing it. I want to actually hook the hose that sucks up the media to the bottom of that, and then run the hose up to the front of the cabinet and come in that way. That eliminates any hose inside of my cabinet, which basically gives me more room and what have you. Anyway, that's the end of this video. And there you go, Harbor Freight glass cabinet, modified and working extremely well. I got no complaints after the modifications. Good cabinet. Anyway, cool beans. Later.